Okay, good day everyone. I'm Mr. Gosen and today we're going to talk about proteins and nucleic acids. Okay, so last time we have talked about the two different biological molecules, which is carbohydrates and lipids. So today we're going to talk about the two another two parts of biological molecule, and those are proteins and nucleic acid. So before that, our objective for today is to categorize the biological molecule, if it is a protein or a nucleic acid, according to its structure and function. And second objective is to explain the role of each biological molecules in our metabolic process. So without further ado, let's go to the proteins. So proteins are biological molecules or macromolecules that are formed by amino acids. Okay, so these are a very large size molecules and polymers of structural units are amino acids that are combined together. Okay, so there are a total of 20 different amino acid exists in proteins and hundreds of thousands of these amino acids. So you might Google those if you are really curious about that. So these amino acids are combined through peptide bonds. Okay, so they are linked together by this specific bond. It can only be used in protein. So proteins, their principal elements are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So their monomer version again is amino acids, and their polymer version are polypeptides, and they are mostly water soluble. They can be dissolved through water. So proteins are involved in every aspect of cellular life. They're one of the biological molecules that has many functions in our body. So that's why it's really healthy to eat protein. Diba? As you can see in health diets or health tutorials, they're most encouraging you to take a protein diet rather than a fat diet, because protein are really healthy in our body, and they serve different purposes and functions, such as they can be transport materials across the membrane, they can be catalyze chemical reactions, or they can organize DNA, and also they can support the movement of materials inside and outside of the cell. So the human body alone contains an estimated 100,000 different proteins. And so we're gonna talk about the different functions of proteins in our body. So first things first is enzyme. They are the ones who are the catalyst of metabolism. To be specific, digestive enzymes are made up of proteins. For example, our saliva. Saliva is an enzyme. Have you ever tried putting some food in your mouth? Then your saliva will dissolve those food. So because that is one of the purpose of saliva or the digestive enzyme. They help in digestion of food by catalyzing nutrients into monomeric units, meaning they're converting the food into a smaller units in order for your body to digest it. We have different types of digestive enzymes such as amylase, lipase, pepsin, and trypsin, which can usually found in our stomach. Proteins can also be used as transport mechanisms such as hemoglobin and albumin. So as you can see, they are usually found in the it's in the blood. So hemoglobin can carry substances in our blood, while in albumin is usually in the limbs throughout our body. And protein can also be used in structural components such as actin, tubulin, and keratin. So this component, they construct different structures like the cytoskeleton, while on the other hand, keratin, as you can see, it is a very familiar term. Keratin are usually proteins that made our hair and also our fingernails. Okay, so without those protein, we cannot grow our hair or even our fingernail. Next is protein can also make some hormones such as insulin and thyroxine. So as you can see, you are familiar with insulin. It helps in regulating the sugar levels in our body, and It also coordinates the activity of different body systems. So it helps us. Those protein helps us to have an equilibrium in our body. Also, proteins can also be used in defense, such as immunoglobulins. Okay, they protect the body from foreign pathogens. Okay, so they also help in our immune system. Last but not the least, protein are also used for storage, such as legumes. They're used as storage, and also in eggs. Those egg whites are mostly made up of protein. So okay, so next biological molecules is nucleic acids. So nucleic acids and DNA in particular are key macromolecules for the continuity of life. So why? Because in nucleic acid, it burns DNA, okay? So DNA burns the hereditary information that pass from one generation to another. Okay, meaning from parent to children, from parent to children, from parent to children. So that's the reason why you are what you are today, because of the DNA, because of the so-called nucleic acids. So nucleic acid is monomer form is nucleotides. Okay, they come in two natural varieties such as DNA and RNA. DNA is mostly found in all living organisms, and it has all the genetic information that you need, that you will pass into your offspring. Well, for example, some viruses that don't have DNA only use RNA in order for it to survive. So again, nucleic acid or its monomer form is nucleotide, and its polymer form is DNA and RNA. So meaning DNA and RNA are composed of many nucleotides. Then those many nucleotides is called as polynucleotide. So DNA and RNA is polynucleotide. So a nucleotide is made up of three parts: a phosphate group, a pentose sugar, and a nitrogenous base, or also known as adenine. Let's talk about DNA and its properties. So DNA are chain. Usually we known as a double helix. They form a double helix structure in which two matching chains are stuck together. So that's why DNA is very strong and stick. So these two strands runs in opposite direction, meaning that the 5 inches end of the one strand is paired with the 3 inch end of this matching strand. So this is referred to as anti-parallel orientation and is important for the copying of the DNA. So what is the properties of RNA? So RNA, or also known as ribonucleic acid. So unlike DNA, which is double helix, RNA is only single-stranded. And a nucleotide in an RNA chain will contain ribose, one of the 4 nitrogenous base AUGC, and a phosphate group. Those AUGC is adenine, uracil, guanine, and cytosine. We have also mRNA, or messenger RNA. It is an intermediate between protein coding gene and its protein product. If a cell needs to make a particular protein, the gene encoding the protein will be turned on, meaning an RNA polymerizing enzyme will come and make an RNA copy or transcript of the gene's DNA sequence. So messenger RNA usually helps in repairing and sending communications between DNA parts inside our body. So these are the features of DNA and an RNA in a summary. So DNA's main function is the storage of genetic information, while RNA is involved in protein synthesis or protein making and gene regulation. It is also carrier of genetic information, but only in viruses. Okay, only in viruses. And its sugar is made up of deoxyribose, while RNA is only made of ribose. Then structure of DNA is double helix, while RNA only has a single strand. And last is bases is DNA is usually made of cytosine, thymine, adenine, and guanine, while RNA is bases is made up of cytosine, uracil, adenine, and guanine. Okay, so that's all we have for today about the two biological molecules we have talked today, and that is protein and nucleic acid. So for your activity, I have here a diagram. It is a very easy activity. I want you to um, identify which one of this is a DNA and which of this is an RNA. And also please read the description. It also helps you in understanding the activity. I mean the lesson. Then for your performance test, I want you to make an essay about the importance of protein and nucleic acids in our life. So the mechanics is 100 words minimum, and please put it in English. I want you to be familiarized with using non-English because it really helps you when you're in college. Then I also made a quiz in your, as you can see in your DLP, and please submit all of your activities until the next meeting, and please send it into my social media account, which is my FB. I will also contact you there if ever you need me. So I think that's it. So if you have any more question, feel free to chat me, to ask me anything about our lesson if you don't really understand. But anyway, I hope you learn something from today, and I hope you become healthy and stay safe from all things. And that's all for today. Bye bye.